For more than 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter in our community. From our studios in St. Clair, you're watching Focus with Paul Dingeman.
Hello again, the month of March, starting. Amazing. It's just coming along fast. We're going to be out cutting grass pretty soon. We've got two gentlemen with us today. They're going to talk about something that's brand new and very important here in St. Clair and St. Clair County. We want to welcome the police chief of the city of St. Clair, Mr. Tim Raker. Welcome back to the show, sir. And his brother, we'll call him, David Gillis, illustrious Mr. Gillis, from the American Legion, from the new group called the St. Clair Police Foundation. David, tell us what's going on.
Well, I don't know where to start. I think I'd rather tell you, Paul, why the St. Clair Police Foundation exists, and then get into what it is and how it functions and so on. Okay. I'm going to have to go back, and I don't talk very much, you know that.
Unaccustomed as you are to public speaking.
You have to go back about 5 years when the church I belong to, Emmanuel Lutheran Church, began an outreach program for developing a better relationship with police. And other churches were in the same type of program. They were all providing some type of effort to reach out to the police department. And within the community, that was working well. We called ours Adopt a Cop.
Adopt a Cop.
Adopt a Cop. And what we were doing is identifying the members of the department, putting their names and birth dates on a card, and encouraging members of the congregation to pick up a card and start to form a relationship. And that relationship really related to sending a birthday card, a Christmas card, an Easter card, a memorandum of encouragement. And the program grew. It grew slowly, but it grew. And we had a number of members that within the church and outside the church that really adopted a cop and began that particular program. Some, like my wife, adopted the entire department. Okay? And that was interesting.
That's what they call an overachiever.
Yes, it is. Okay? She said, "How can I adopt one?" I said, "You can't." But so, and she in reality started making cookies once a month and sending those to the department. My wife has since passed, but she became known while she was delivering cookies as Granny Franny.
There you go.
Okay, so the COP program was working fairly well for us, and again, other churches were involved in similar types of programs. Early last year, when nationally, the news media kind of played up on, what do I want to call it? An attack on the police departments. I guess I really want to call it. And that was more in some certain urban areas that was happening. But certainly when you watch television, you saw a lot of it, and a lot of attacks on the police and cries for defunding and a combination of things. So, and I was convinced in my mind that that would have an influence on every policeman in the country. I don't care how large the department was. That's when I asked the chief in a very casual conversation, how is that affecting the department? And he very honestly said, it's having an effect on morale. He said,
"Got to affect morale."
Sure. And he said, all I can do is encourage. And you have a number of younger people on there.
Yes.
Yeah. And he said, all I can do is encourage them to use the training that they have to do the best job they possibly can. And they do that. But still, if you're serving in that capacity, law enforcement, and you go home and watch it on television, and it affects you directly.
Correct.
So at our church, in our Adopt the Cop program, coincidentally, somebody anonymously donated some money to the church. I don't know how much it is. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was some. And the pastor simply made an announcement in the church that he's looking for methods and ways of spending that some of that money within the community. And it was at that time, it's just, timing's proper. I said, we need a method or way to better identify how the community feels towards police. And I concocted in my mind, every idea I've ever had, I've stolen from someplace. So, so
it's called research.
Yes, thank you. Anyway, my idea was to purchase some yard signs.
Okay.
The yard signs, you still see some in the community. The yard sign simply said, "We support and pray for our police," and they were white and blue.
Very effective.
Yeah, and they were. But all I could afford with the money that I was allotted, and I was very grateful for it, was 30 signs. So I ordered the 30 signs, and by the time they arrived, I had 30 places to put them in the community. I strategically put them on streets, busy streets, where people could see them, and especially the police, because the message was for police. Right. So I had the 30 signs up, and I thought the program was done, and I started getting calls from people who wanted signs. And long story short, I kept going back to the pastor, and I said, "Can you find some more money somewhere?"
Right.
Okay, so again, making a long story short, we ended up with 140 signs in the community.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
wonderful.
and we did that in 6 weeks.
Right.
And in fact, a number of the police officers were responding to it. It was like a contest to see which street had the most signs and a combination of things. So, so it had an effect. But what I learned in the process, you stop me at any point, Chief, okay?
Yeah, you know you're doing good.
What I learned in the process, and I put up 90% of those signs myself. When I put them up, I was able to talk to a number of the homeowners who wanted the signs and so on. I called it my front yard ministry. But in conversing with them, I discovered how supportive they were of the police department. They don't get an opportunity to talk about it or give to it or any of those things. They just support their police. I was really surprised to find the number of people in the community who are related to someone who's a police officer here or someplace else. So the support was only natural within their family. In developing that particular process, the program came to an end. The money we were able to gather from the church, and it came from several groups within the church, the money paid for all the signs that were up. They were gone. But we started getting donations from the people that had signs in the yard. We never asked for a donation. We never sold the signs, but the donations kept coming in. And my pastor asked me at that particular point in time, because the program was done, he said, "What can we do in a more meaningful way that's sustaining over a period of time?" And the idea of a foundation had been on my mind for about 2 years. There's a number of foundations nationally, not many in small communities, but there's a number of foundations, and they do an excellent job of reaching out to the community to form better relationships and raising dollars to help the police department. And I said a foundation. The pastor said, "How much is that?" And I said, "Somewhere between $500 and $1,000 to get it going." He said, "Well, I don't know." He said, "Let me see what I can do." Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, when all the bills were paid for the signs and so on, and the donations kept coming in, we ended up with $1,025.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's at that time I said to the pastor, "We've got the 1,000." So I went to the church council, and they quickly granted it to the.
Okay, so now you've got a thought.
Okay.
You've come up with a germ of an idea to start a foundation, and so that's where we're at now. Or no, you've had some meetings, haven't you?
Yeah, we have. We formed an ad hoc committee of just a small group of people that we felt had an interest in making this thing happen. The ad hoc committee started putting together the documentation and so on to make it happen. So over roughly a 3-month period, 3.5-month period, we did all the minutia of putting this thing together.
All the paperwork.
Internally and for the state of Michigan, for IRS, so on and so forth.
So besides just having an idea and wanting to do something good, you got to fill out the darn paperwork.
Oh, you got to do the paperwork. Yeah. Well, at that point in time, I said my idea's over with. Bye.
Right.
Said, well, and enough people said, "Well, it was your idea." So,
right. You got to keep working.
Yeah. So we got it together very, very quickly, and we're able to open the door to a new foundation January 1. So we are just completing our 2nd month as a foundation.
Okay.
And I think we're moving along fairly well in the developmental stage of doing this.
Okay, so you got a board of directors.
Yep.
You got governing documents. You met with the community foundation.
We are scheduled to meet with them the next month. Okay.
Okay.
I've had conversations with Randy Meyer and Jackie Hanton, and they're anxious to sit down and talk to
They're
us.
very cooperative and do a
Very
very
much,
good job of
yeah.
distributing people's money and investing it.
And they know what they're
Very
doing,
reputable.
and we're kind of crawling at this point in time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to be a tremendous help for us. From day one, we've discussed the desire of becoming a part of their family of organizations. I think there's over 240 of those organizations that are part of that organization. So we think if we want to grow and be effective in the financial end of it especially, that we need some help along the line, and they're the ones that can do that. I'm really surprised initially that nobody really knew we were in existence, and not only we did receive some money from the church, but North Star Bank gave us a contribution that really said to us, we have a bank account now, we can
Right.
okay,
Put something in it.
yeah, and we've had a contribution since then that we're not solicited. So even with people not knowing that we're in existence.
So what kind of a programs do you think you might be doing
Well,
once you get it all set up and running?
there's two major objectives for the foundation. One is to create a better relationship between the citizenry and the police department. On a one-to-one basis, to adopt the cop, that worked, but we want to open it up so people say, you can say to people, we have an opportunity for you to get to know the police department. So we'll do that with programs and events and a number of things where they can reach into the police department. I know the officers want to reach out and,
Right.
and hold a hand. So that's the major objective at this point in time, to increase that relationship between the citizens and the police department. The second is to, very honestly, to raise money, funds for the police department for programs that they may need, they want.
Oh, okay.
Okay? I'm not looking at the budget here, but I'm guessing that the budget here is not much different than most budgets in small town America for police departments. Probably 75–80% of it goes for human resources and equipment, and whatever's left you get for enhancement of equipment and so on. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. It's
Okay.
like there's one pie, and every once in a while somebody sneaks in the kitchen and takes a little sliver, and there's only a little left.
Okay.
So.
Right.
So and I'm sure we have one member of the board of directors right now who is going to be working with the chief, and has in the past before the foundation, to develop a possibilities list. And that possibilities list is the chief's wish list, okay, of the things that he thinks that would be an enhancement for the department, but that he can't put in the budget. Budget's not going to allow for it to happen. So
Probably similar to another foundation here in the area, which is the East China Education Foundation, where the teachers in the East China schools, Marine City and St. Clair, get that same problem. They want to have something for their classroom, but the principal's budget just doesn't cover it. So that there's now this East China Education Foundation. They can apply for a $750 grant and get something for their classroom.
exactly.
Colored pens,
Yeah.
whatever they need, which is above and beyond which the district budget can provide. So
Exactly.
similar kind of thought.
Yeah, the intent is exactly the same. There's a sister organization in Chesterfield Township. I think they don't call it a foundation. It's the Friends of the Chesterfield Police Department. And they've been in existence for 6 years, 7 years. But they created, through funding, a canine unit. And they fund the whole thing.
Wow.
On an annual basis, they pay for the whole thing.
That's nothing to bark at.
No.
Oh, way to go, Paul. Nice.
Yeah, get one in once in a while.
So that's just an example, okay?
Right.
You want a canine? Not yet.
I don't think I don't have the manpower.
So it's got it formed.
Yeah.
You're raising some money. You got a committee. And what we're going to throw up the email address here. What can people do besides send money?
Show an interest, first of all.
Okay.
I think and most of the work we've done so far is really administrative, and it's the minutiae I was talking about, the paperwork, the policies, the internal documents, the articles of incorporation.
Right.
And it's kind of monotonous to put it together, but it needs to be done that way.
All right, right.
We want to find a method or way to get citizens involved within the organization. Now, I'm not calling about memberships, but advisory committees, groups that want to sponsor certain events. We certainly want to get the youth of the community involved in doing certain things with the
Boy
police.
Scouts, Cub Scouts, Girl
all,
Scouts.
all of the above.
Yeah, that's
okay?
what, money is good because we can't do anything without the money, but to have people that just email in support or ideas for
Yeah.
a fundraiser or ideas for community events that we can partner with and get the community together, that's the whole point.
Yeah.
One that you highlighted was a Don Barnum Memorial Scholarship. Is that going to be happening?
Well, we've got it approved for ourselves already. We just felt, and here again, I talk about someone's death, but the timing was just right for us to do something with Don's name on it.
Mm-hmm.
And some of my thought related to a scholarship, and without identifying an amount of money or the number of scholarships for the future,
But
we
it's
decided we were going to adopt
Probably
a
a good thing to
scholarship
start.
program. It will start for the school year 21-22 in St. Clair High School, and we will be giving at least a scholarship. in that year.
Community Police Week recognition in May, Police Memorial Day ceremonies in May. That was great last year. Law Enforcement Day of Prayer in June. That one I was not familiar with. Night out block parties in August. Have we done those before?
The Lutheran Church has done it twice, I think,
Yeah.
and they weren't very effective, and maybe it was because it was sponsored by a church. I don't know.
Oh,
But now it'll be sponsored by the foundation. We're going to close off the street. We're going to have
oh, good.
fun things to do,
Yeah.
and
That particular program, it actually died before it got started last year because of COVID.
yes,
Okay, we just couldn't do it. And I'm just hoping that we'll be able to do it this year in August. But the recreation department is coming in with the police department. That program is presented by the police department, but in cooperation with the recreation department, who is now moving its Safety Town Day into that venue. And it'll be on the corner.
In the
We're
Emmons
closing
parking
some
lot.
street. Yeah. We have
Great project.
St. Mary's Catholic Church and Emmanuel Lutheran Church will be hosting it because they have adjacent properties,
Yeah.
providing parking and space and so on. It'll be a block party where people are invited to come in and
and
meet
I
the
am
chief.
not a voting member, but the board thinks that there should be a dunk tank with the chief in it at that event. But
Well,
We're
I'll
not-
vote for that.
Yeah, we're not thinking. I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of the plan.
That's part of the plan, right?
so
That'd be a good one. That'd be good.
You notice
That'll
the-
bring a lot of money.
Well, what motivated him to lose so much weight is we told him that was going to happen.
Ah.
He said, if I have to sit up there in a Speedo, I'm going to look at him.
That's right.
So,
You've had on numbers of city council meetings over the last 8 months, year, you've had some officers get up and have some recognition.
yes,
If you're off the top, I didn't tell you I was going to ask you that, but
No.
if you can refresh me on what
I-
those were, and then there was a story I caught the other day on Facebook about a young officer that responded to a call at the laundromat, and I thought that was an interesting
Right.
call too.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Since I've been chief, I've given out 4 life-saving awards.
Wow.
They've actually responded, beat the fire department, did the CPR, saved lives. Officer Young actually saved a young child from choking, and you've probably seen his picture with the child
Yeah.
on Facebook. Corporal Ennis goes above and beyond and solves a lot of crimes just by stepping forward. He actually solved crimes that didn't involve our jurisdiction. It was out of state, but he returned almost $8,000 in fraudulently stolen unemployment money
Wonderful.
from Texas and Ohio. And then Officer Schroll, just recently, our newest officer, somebody stole some laundry from the laundromat,
It was
lady.
quite a story, yeah.
And he heard the story, figured they had to buy, the complainant said they had carry out breakfast. So he took it upon himself to check the local restaurants, found out where they bought the breakfast. They used a credit card, showed up at their house, and was able to charge him, get the towels and the comforter back, and charge him with misdemeanor. So he just
Good people, and they're young. What's the size of your force now?
I have 8 full-time, myself and a secretary. And probably my most senior officer is 15 years of service, 16, somewhere in there. So
Good stuff.
that's good.
Good
And
stuff.
when Dave approached me about the foundation, his church, the Lutheran Church, has been doing the Adopt-A-Cop since I became chief. And when they approached me with that, I just newly been chief, and my whole interview process was, with the council was we want the police department to be more visible in the community. So when they came here, I was like, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, we
Yeah.
do that. And so you get
Yeah.
my uniform budget's gone up because cookies and everything show up every week. but no, and then off of that, the Congregational Church adopted a shield program where I gave them the badge numbers, all the guys, and the church prays for them individually. And the Methodist
Wonderful.
Church contacted me last year. They wanted to do a mission project and raise money for a traffic type piece of equipment that we were looking for, but COVID hit and they never had their event. And this just makes it so instead of just being churches,
Yeah.
it can involve the community itself,
Yeah. Organizations.
businesses, everything can
Yeah.
come together and really help. So.
Yeah.
Great.
But-
Well, I think it's great, and I think it's super, and lucky that we have a guy like Dave
Ah.
Gillis that can be the.
Because I don't have the time to go through everything he's gone through to get this all set up.
I've noticed you guys having all these meetings, and it's not easy putting something together. And I don't think people realize how much detail it takes to get a nonprofit going.
Yeah. Especially when you're working with government. And I'm not faulting government.
Right.
But the process is.
Oh, he's
slow.
government. Yell at
I
him.
know. I'm not faulting him.
But it's good, and if we can get enough money where we can give scholarships to the high school kids, it's not
Yeah.
all about the department getting money. It's, there's some trainings that I can't justify in my budget, but I can,
If the guys in the control room will throw up that slide with the address and the email address on it, we'll put that on the air for you, and here it comes. It's coming right now. I can hold it up too. There it is. There it is. So that's the information. It's P.O. Box 63 here in St. Clair. Or if you are ambidextrous and do email, just Port Huron, or I can't read that one. That says policefoundation.info, policefoundation.info@gmail.com. And you guys will respond for questions.
Quickly.
and we're looking for feedback, ideas,
Anything.
money.
Just it's a simple word says go for it.
Well, we encourage you, please come back and give us a update on what's going on. If you start any of these events, please make sure that
Okay.
you can use this forum to tell
Okay.
people, and we'll go from there.
Great, Paul. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'm good.
My speeding been all right? I haven't been speeding.
You're doing all right.
That's about it for this edition of the Focus program. Thanks very much for tuning in. Till next time, I'm Paul Dingeman, behind the badge. No, that's the guy across.
Thanks for watching Focus with Paul Dingeman. Focus is produced at the CTV Community Television Studios in St. Clair. For over 20 years, CTV has captured the moments that matter to our community.